Top of turn 5 in Rock of the Marne. Not a lot's moving on the western side, but we're seeing some movement where the French, out of command or out of supply units, have moved down a little bit. They're going to force the Germans to actually attack, and they stayed in good terrain here in the trenches. Threw some cap in place. Those two planes. The reason they're doing what they're doing is by forcing the Germans to attack, the Germans will probably take almost as many losses as the French do, even with the out-of-supply units. So it's going to slow the German assault to do a mop-up, and if they don't do the mop-up, then those units are still running around in the back. They don't just get destroyed or anything. That may just save this kind of weak-looking French line here. The Italians pulled back a little bit. French took up some better defensive positioning as much as they can and started hiking that headquarters back. It actually grew a unit, so that's kind of cool for them. This guy's pulling out of where he was. It looked too dangerous, and they seem to have learned their lesson. It's definitely an interesting game. I'll give it that. I expect, like I said, I expect a little bit more combat. I'm not sure if I'm playing it right, but I really can't see making attacks willy-nilly with that combat table. It can give you good results, there's no question, but it's so likely to give you bad results that I'd rather save my strength and just try to outmaneuver the opponent. Partway through turn 5, the Germans proceeded with the mop-up there and paid too heavy a price, really. They took two out pretty easily, but the third one, between French air support and a bad roll, they ended up not only losing, but losing 3 steps. And having to retreat, giving it a clearing there. And they also ended up with all their air power out of commission so that they don't have any cap to put in play. What they did do, however, they drove the French away down here and are cutting off another unit, making it possible to lose more that way. And they also established a bridgehead across the Marne again over here, the intention being to cut off this entire French command on the Montagne de Rennes. And they're trying to do the same kind of maneuver around Chalon-sur-Marne. That's about it. I don't know if I took all the casualties there yet. After 5 turns, we see the Allies pulling back even further, trying to conserve some kind of supply line in the face of that bridgehead. Pulling back into the mountains a little bit. You know, it's a matter of not being able to move quickly, really, at this point. They would much rather have a line that goes all the way down to the south, but they can't. Not a lot moving over in the west, though. They pulled back a little bit to protect things. We got one French unit again that came in on that road, 6215, completely out of supply. Probably not worth attacking, but we'll see. Halfway through the 6th turn, trying to reposition the Germans so that they're prepared for next turn's attack by the French. Supposedly the Germans weren't even aware that this was happening at this point, but they've got machine gun units which give a defensive bonus, which are moving into place along the trench line. I think that's perfectly fine. I'm also trying to strengthen the defensive line and thicken it. Cut this unit out. Positioning where the French fell back to threaten them a little further and push them a little further. Then we're not going to get to Chalon before the attack starts. What's the most interesting thing is I have managed to completely isolate everything over on the Montagne de Reims and down here in Epernay. That's all pocketed. None of that's going to be in supply after the French turn. In fact, that's even if they try to withdraw as hard as they can, it's going to be tough to get anything in supply. The only, I don't see anything without an attack from outside being even possible. So we're going to see what happens, but I don't know what the value of this is. You know, in most operational games, wow, that's doom for all those guys, so it just wouldn't have happened. Here it's less clear that there's going to be much effect. I mean, so they'll be out of supply for a few hours. Well, that'll make them weaker on defense, which means the Germans can afford to attack them and wipe a few of them out. But I don't know if they have enough force to take everything out there. Certainly, if the counterattack weren't coming, this would be a major effect. But with the counterattack coming, there may just not be enough time to clear this out. There's another issue, which is that I believe the British units come in from down here, just kind of in the midst of the area the Germans have isolated. They don't have any units to defend that, and I'm trying to pull a corps into place as such, that's one unit, to at least provide some defense against that when it comes in, but I think I'm just going to have to fall back from those valuable road areas along the edge, which are the majority of the points that I have so far with the Germans. I have one from Chateau-Thierry, a three-pointer, and obviously if I can get Epernay, that's worth a few points, but nothing that compares to what is available. Soissons here, it's only worth a couple, but we got 6 right there, another couple right beyond it. A few more down here. So there's a lot of points which I expect the Allies to be able to take. I don't know if they're going to get as far as Reims, but I'd expect that they get into the Chasserie, Bois-Marin region, at least to challenge it. And certainly Soissons going to fall, I would assume. So I don't think it looks good for the Germans, but hey, they did something cool. After 6, not a lot happened, except that the French managed to break out of that encirclement. They have one tenuous little supply line there. Elsewhere, they just tightened their lines a little bit, pulled back a little from the Germans.